Right then, ladies and gentlemen, we're live yet again on cricket.com doing yet another watch along of the Women's Premier League. And as usual, it's second innings because, look, let's face it, we don't have that many people to keep doing up these watch alongs, but we'll try to do our best. I'm Avnish Hegde, and I've, of course, been joined in by Bishop Deswant on this Monday evening. Slightly late to the party, but we were just trying to figure out our dinner. Snacks at the vending machine weren't turning out. And, of course, RCB being bowled out for 155 doesn't bode well for me personally. Bish, so far, I know we haven't had a watch along with you yet in the WPL, but what's caught your eye? And can you talk about this game for starters, please?
What's caught my eye in the WPL is the high scores.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. We were doing the Women's World T20 right before this.
Yeah.
And we were discussing how 150 is being chased only a couple of times, etc. And here you have the WPL where teams are scoring 200 for fun.
Yeah.
And then 170 is getting chased like it's nothing.
And it's a power game, right?
Yeah.
Which is
and so many of the players today from RCB, we haven't, or at least I wasn't very familiar with, who seem to really be able to play the big shots, and was fantastic to watch. And that's something that was always missing on the women's game.
Indeed. I mean, you look at right now how it stands out there. If you guys are joining us on this watch along, sync your streams in, or essentially you're watching in Sports 18, I'm guessing. 14 for none, Mumbai in the chase of 156. And RCB, I mean, they went about their business. Some were saying Baz Ball on Twitter. And on Twitter, speaking of Twitter, one of the kings himself, Nikhil Popat, joins us. Nikhil, not a good day yet again for RCB so far, but it's still a long way to go in their run chase. How do you kind of sum up the first innings and what you've seen so far?
Just RCB doing RCB things. How many times do you see a side losing 2 wickets in 1 over thrice in their innings?
Yeah.
I think it's just too many things that RCB did that only RCB can. I don't know why Richa were Perry calling each other in 100 different languages.
How? I mean, talk to me about that, because they both kind of nearly got run out themselves initially in the previous over, and then again, yes, no, schoolgirl errors.
I don't know. Maybe they had to talk binary 0-1. I don't know, whatever works, but get them to talk nicely and something that they understand. Even then, Richa was out, caught behind, which I don't know why the technology thought that, okay, let's not make, because it's RCB, let's not make the obvious decision. Let's go around the bush and not get to the point. It's just, I mean, the way the entire innings went, the way how, the lower order batted should actually make the top order think that, dude, we missed out on like 20, 30 runs easy here.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just bizarre, and Mumbai benefited. They needed Pooja to bowl only 1 over, and the spin was all that they cared for.
Yeah, and right now it's like we're putting Yasika Bhatia back into form. I mean, I thought Renuka and Megan should will like the evening conditions because, of course, they played a day game yesterday. Bish, I mean, he summed it up quite well. RCB just doing RCB things. I hope it's not a repeat in terms of what we've seen in the men's in these last 15 years.
I'm just feeling very happy seeing you say these things, Avnish. After all of these watch-alongs we've done together, and every player who did half decently happened to play from RCB.
Yeah.
But when they're all coming together and playing for RCB,
it just doesn't work out. It just doesn't work out. I mean, Elise Perry, I mean, she was striking it well. At least that's what I thought before that shambles of a run out. Smriti Mandana, again, a good positive start. And then Hayley Matthews did her in, I think. So it's just not gone right for RCB. I think they're 15-20, maybe more short on this surface. But what is the kind of formula they can rely upon right now? Because they do have experience out there in Heather Knight. They do have experience out there in Elise Perry. Surely someone needs to grab the bull by its horns, right?
They do. But the thing is, playing against this Mumbai team is really scary.
Yeah.
Because there's batting right down till number 10, really.
Correct.
And how many more wickets you take, there's still someone else coming in. But, I mean, the good thing is, like we said, for this tournament, sure, the scores have been higher than what you normally see. But by the standards that we've been watching over the years, 156 is a pretty good score. So RCB should take comfort from the fact that this is very much a defendable score in the women's game. So it's nothing more than getting a reasonably good start.
Yeah, but you can't bowl rubbish down the leg. That's bread and butter for anyone, let alone Hayley Matthews. Vasan Narayan, good to see you in the comments. And of course, some tongue in cheek already. Abhi's favorite football team lost. And even today, also, it's confirmed maybe it's better if she switches sides. You mean he, of course. I'm a guy, I mean. That's fine. Sorry for the typo. But yeah, yesterday was shocking. The jokes already. When I walked into office this morning, all the Liverpool fans just chuckling in my face, calling Eric Ten Hag, Eric Seven Hag, and all of that stuff. It was quite ridiculous. Harish Rawat, good to see you. RCB goes on to say, yeah, we've heard that before multiple times. But look, let's see if RCB can pull things back because Renuka and Megan shirt off color the other day, and so far as well, they haven't been good. Now, talking about a man who hasn't been good, apparently through WhatsApp text, he said that he was feeling slightly unwell and there was a little delly belly that he was suffering. Gurkirat, all well for starters?
Yeah, now it's good. Now it's good. I don't know. Maybe it's gotten too hot in Delhi, but was just not feeling well when I came home today. Really felt as if I'd sort of have collapse or something because really felt dehydrated. So just took a small nap, had a few fluids. Now back again.
Did the RCB batting put you to sleep?
No, I wish I could say that, but
Hey, this goes on, bro. I mean, it's high time.
I don't want to be harsh on Avnish given the kind of 24 hours he's had. So also today, it looks like that RCB might register their second loss. So yeah,
I mean,
I
it's
don't
not
want
very
to be.
often that you see RCB lose on back-to-back days, but even that's a reality right now with the women's kind of not
No,
having the perfect start and finding their feet.
you
I
can
mean,
say that it is something that can be said quite often if you look at the IPL history.
true. Okay, one
Which
second.
means back-to-back games is possible, but today now it's back-to-back days.
Back-to-back days, exactly. Back-to-back games is like, it's part of the DNA to lose 2, 3, 4 in the trot, at times 7. 2017 comes to mind. I just want to, of course, talk like an RCB fan right now for the next 2 minutes, guys. Who, of course, is taking these decisions in terms of team selection? I know it's still 2 games in, so I'm not going to make a rant. But is it the director of cricket and Mike Hessenbish? Is it Ben Sawyer, the head coach? Is it someone like Rangraj Manolan? Is it just a cumulative effort?
See, you have to believe that it's the captain and the coach who make the decisions finally.
Mhm.
But I also don't think that in a format like this, where you are playing on back-to-back days, it's fair to chop and change too much after one loss,
Okay.
right? And when a team scores 200 plus against you, however good your batting is, the chances are you're going to lose on that day.
Yeah.
So I don't think an overreaction is fair. And of course, the bowling didn't work out, and there were discussions before this game about Dane Van Niekerk coming in possibly to strengthen that bowling attack. But I really don't think it would have been fair to the bowlers who played in the first game to be dropped after the first one. Because if you thought they were your best 11 on that day, that much hasn't changed. One big loss should not have a huge
agree.
impact.
I agree with you completely. But Nick's come in here. Talk to me about RCB's batting, right? We've seen it twice so far in the tournament. And yes, it was situational in the first game when they were chasing that 224 mountain score set by Delhi on that first day. But now, even today, when they were batting first, I know Disha Kasar and Heather Knight ducks today. But does that batting actually instill confidence? Because if Elise Perry gets a good one, if Smriti Mandhana gets a good one, then it's actually not that strong as a batting unit.
Then you don't even have too many batting units. I mean, you can boast of batting depth, and they have it. And to be honest, the lower order did a more than decent job as compared to how the top order batted. I mean,
Exactly. Yeah.
they're all 5, 6, 7, 8. I think, if I'm not wrong, not 5, so 6, 7, 8, 9, all scored 20s, which is very rare.
Correct.
But I think the problem for them was the bunch of wickets. We speak about that a lot, that you can't lose back-to-back wickets, and I think that's where they could not arrest that collapse. The moment you saw Sophie go, you felt that okay, now you need to hold on. But then you had Smriti going, then Disha Kasat went, and Heather Knight came in before she could and she was gone before she could understand what's happening. So I
Yeah.
think those, and you see those wicket dismissals, it's like 4.2, 4.4, and then it's again 5.2, 5.3. You are almost gone there itself when you lose like more than 3 in the power play. I think it is just about something that Smith said. Slow the game down. Just take your time, get into that better frame of mind, and then make better decisions. Because
And now
post that they
Yasika
took this.
Bhatia, I'm sorry to cut you off, Nick, but Yasika Bhatia is just looking like Smriti Mandhana. Honestly.
I'm actually happy for her. Last game she got off the really bad start. I think
Yeah.
scored 0 or 1.
One of 7 or
Played
something.
7 or 8 balls. Yeah. So you want at some level your Indian players to also score runs, get into good form.
I
You
mean,
know, if I could come in, I was
sure.
just looking at the fall of wickets, and at what points did those wickets fall. I think because they are playing at the same venue which they played yesterday, it might have played into their mind that they possibly need a score of 180, because you saw that 170 got chased yesterday. So even though it was at a different venue, but if anything, Brabon I feel is flatter than DY Patil. We saw that even in the men's IPL. So I guess probably they wanted to maximize the power play and took a few extra risks, which backfired, and they were four down. Because yesterday, what happened might have been in their mind as well, that DC were able to put a score of more than 200. So at the very least, you need 180. And sometimes when you are batting first on very flat wickets, you do tend to take those extra risks, and they sometimes don't come off. So it might have been that case. But yeah, at this point of time, things really not looking good for them, because you don't see it very often that even Yastika gets a fastest start, because she's someone who tends to take her time, but she's also 23 of 17. So yeah, not a good day to be an RC.
I
So
mean, RCB's men's team over the years have put so many batsmen back into form. We've seen Saurav Tiwari score hundreds against us when he was not the most fittest, should we say, in
but
that polite.
Bishan made actually a very good point.
Yeah,
The 11 that you selected for the first game, in one day, that you can't be changing so many things in that 11, especially given, because one bad game can happen to any team. If on Sunday you select, and it's not even that the venues changed, that
yeah.
you've
But
changed
they
the
made
11
one
on the
change,
basis
right?
of
So Asha
conditions.
Shobna went out for Sriyanka Patil, who actually played pretty well with the bat in hand.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just this is something that we have associated a lot with Punjab Kings in the men's IPL, wherein when things have tended to work with them, despite the tactical flaws, they're stuck with the 11 just because it has given them the result. And even when they've played the perfect 11 and lost, they've just made too many changes. So sometimes I think in T20 it is very important to back your 11, and understand and realize that there are some uncertainties in the sport. I'm not going to use my famous phrase. Okay,
Say it,
I
say
want
it.
it.
We've not heard it
I
for a
I
while.
I want it to be engraved on that wall, on that wall behind you.
We
But
should
yeah,
get a banner. We should honestly get a banner saying T20 is a fickle format.
it is. So
I mean, it
that's what
is,
I say.
honestly.
On the basis of one game, you shouldn't really be changing your 11 so much.
Just ask Islamabad United yesterday, where PSL was, of course, causing Wi-Fi issues in the Gurkirat household. But Harish
Uh,
Rawat will take your question right now. Why Renika only bowls in swingers when she gets swing? Too predictable at times. Is that the case, Bish? Next?
No, so I mean, I don't think it's a case of her bowling only in swingers. There are uh, some bowlers who naturally bowl in swing, some bowlers who naturally bowl out swing.
Yeah,
Now, just because the conditions are seeming, you can't make an in swing bowler bowl out swing on that day,
agreed.
right? In swing bowlers can eventually bowl out swingers over a period of time when they work on it in the nets, etc. And I mean, maybe Renuka is working on it, but I don't know if to a person who's normally watching, you think if you can move it one day, you can move it the other. That's not true.
Yeah.
You can Your natural bowling action only lends itself to the ball going in. If you have to make it go out, you have to change a few things in terms of how you hold the ball, where you land, close to the stumps, away from the stumps, move from chest down to side down. It's quite complicated to go from in swing to out swing. So
True.
unless the bowler
And
really knows
this might be gone.
how,
This might be gone.
Yes!
there we
This
go.
might be
Get
gone.
in! That look plum. We needed
Yeah.
that wicket. And again, this girl, I know yesterday, RCB conceded like whatever, 223, but she, I think, was a pick of the bowlers. Next. Preeti Bose.
Yeah, and I think this is finally a good matchup working out against Justic as well, which is why I think it's going to be a tough WPL for her, because she'll have to find a way to get off to a good start, because off spinner there is a matchup alert. Slow left arm is something that she's had troubled against. So then you're really not helping your cause if you have enough options that opposition can directly put it up against you, and then you'll always have the good ball coming up with the swing bowling. So till 23-19 they'll take it she'll take it over the game, over the first game. But I think good first wicket to take, because then you have a lot of righties as well coming up from Mumbai.
Yeah, I mean, I was just cock-a-hoop the fact that Yastika got out. So imagine how it'll react when Siva gets out, Kaur gets out. I wish it happens. I know Mumbai might just canter with an 8 wicket, 9 wicket win tonight. But yeah, good here. What's up?
Yeah, I wanted to add on to what Bishan was saying and the question. Even if we look at someone like Bumrah when he made his debut in 2016, he was not predominantly a bowler who would take the ball away. It took him some time to develop that away swinger. Another example of this is someone like Siraj. When he came onto the scene, he could bowl the outswinger, but for a good amount of time, he stopped bowling that outswinger all of a sudden. But now with his ODI resurgence in place, he's now started to bowl the one that leaves the right hander. Once again. So sometimes it can be really difficult to also control that outswinger because your wrist position, like Bishan was mentioning, is different. You have to sometimes come a little closer to the stumps as opposed to coming wide. So it's not as easy just because conditions are conducive for it. It's not easy to bowl that outswinger if you've not developed it fully and if you don't have the amount of confidence that you have in your stock delivery.
And a big problem when you try to bowl an outswinger when you're not an outswing bowler is you can lose your rhythm
Correct.
because you're bowling a ball that you're not familiar with, and then you can't even land your in-swingers right, and then it becomes a confidence issue. So um, the match is not the place to try those things, and so you shouldn't expect bowlers to be doing it, trying it in a game.
Hmm. Megan Shutt bowling the last over of the power play, 45 for one. Hopefully she can get another breakthrough because Haley Matthews has
She
been
will.
absolutely brilliant. I want a word from you when you came to Haley Matthews to 40 lakhs to MI. Mine was what the, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to make sense of
Yes,
asking this.
he means, I
Oh, this
think, base
told
price.
us first.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, no, right? And then they picked her
Yeah,
up.
that 40 lakhs is a great price for her, is what Abbas is telling
Yeah,
us. Yes,
maybe the steal so far of the tournament. Next,
Grace Harris.
Grace Harris. Yeah, Grace Harris was a
I
steal.
thought Dane Van Niekerk was a steal
She
right
was a
at the
steal
end.
as well. Was Izzy Wong the steal?
Yes, she's good for a long-term prospect. I think she can bat as well, and we saw that in that one ball that she's played so far.
Exactly.
So
A
again,
WPL strike rate of 600.
yeah. Oh, that's a good.
Oh,
Yeah,
she's got the gap. She's got four. She's got four. It's quite ridiculous. This. I
For
mean,
me, Dane Van Niekerk really surprised me because she is South Africa's best player. She is their captain. Fine, she didn't make the squad on technicality. Ran her 2K in 9 minutes and 20 seconds as opposed to 9 minutes or whatever it was.
yeah,
But she is undoubtedly their best player
yeah.
and their captain. For the teams not to see that and pick her early for enough, I was shocked.
But as much as I mean, you're lauding her right now. Where does she fit into this RCB team? Because you have Elise Perry, you have Heather Knight. Maybe Heather Knight. I mean, because she kind of gives you a couple of departments and her experience. Maybe Heather Knight is the one to go because the other two, Megan Shoot will keep her place. Elise Perry, of course, keeps her place.
Yeah.
And then you have the third one as
See, South RCB.
Sophie Devine.
Sophie Devine. So Sophie Devine may not keep her place for long enough because she also actually went for I think it's 50 lakhs, something like that.
Yeah, 50 flat.
Yeah. So because she's in the later part of her career as well,
Correct.
and not in the peak of her. But RCB have arguably the best squad of four overseas players.
Overseas players.
Right. So Dane Van Niekerk's got a tough gig to break into those four because the top four.
So if she had to break in,
Yeah.
is it Heather Knight who kind of makes way?
I think it's probably Sophie Devine actually.
Okay.
If she has to break into that squad because Heather Knight, maybe she didn't have a great game today, but I mean, I rate her personally very highly, and I would think that she would come good.
Yeah.
So if there's a spot to pick, I think it's Sophie Devine. I don't know what Nix and Gurkir think.
Agreed.
Yeah, I
Hi,
think
hi,
so.
by the way.
Yeah, which team looks
Take the other one from
balanced?
Steven.
UP and Bombay do look very balanced, though there is some work to do with all teams and in the power play. But yeah, I agree with Sophie has to be the all-rounder that you have to probably take the punt on and play Dan. But again, you can understand why they want to play Sophie. Mandana is a great fan, and of course she'll want to back the Kiwi legend. And but she's not coming into the tourney on the back of good runs as well. So she batted up and down for the Kiwis in the World Cup as well. So they'll probably give her two more games, I feel. And it may be too late, but I don't think they'll drop her just immediately as of now.
Hmm. Smriti, and of course, Elise discussing stuff. Gokida, do you think there's a veto over there with Elise Perry? Because Smriti, of course, looks up to her. Who's making the decisions over there? Is
See,
Elise overruling her?
see, I think, somewhere, when you're captaining for the first time and when you're still inexperienced as a captain, the tendency to go towards the more experienced player is always there. We have seen that with, all the captains who have started out. We saw that with Virat when, when he became the India captain. He used to go to MS Dhoni once, which actually reminds me of a tweet Nikhil did. It was this was this tweet by Nikhil, I think around 2017 Champions Trophy, where there's a photo of MS and Virat, and Virat is in that photo. Virat is saying something to MS, and Nikhil put actually a caption with Virat. Virat asking MS, how do you deal with such bowling? MS replies, "I'm dead inside." it's it's one of the most viral tweets, I think, which Nikhil has done. But coming back to the point, it's obvious. If you are if you are an inexperienced captain, you will definitely go towards the more experienced player out there. uh, it's not something which is very surprising. So yeah, there will be some times where, maybe Perry's influence might have a bigger say than what Smriti Manna's opinion may be as a captain. And I also feel that's a part and parcel of the process of becoming a leader or becoming a captain. Even if in that process there are mistakes to be made, I feel it's fine, especially as long as those mistakes are not being repeated. Sometimes you've seen captains make the same mistake, like Pant going to Lalit Yadav so many times despite that move not working out. That is the kind of mistake that you don't want to see. As long
Yeah.
as there are different mistakes happening, I think it's fine, and we really shouldn't be too harsh on anyone's captaincy.
Okay, fair points, those. Let's take the one from Vipul Anand right now. Bish, Nix, and Gokida chip in as well. Do you think women's RCB team is making the same mistakes as their men's? Too much batting every team with weak bowling. I know it's 2 innings and it's 1.5 innings we're seeing them with the ball, but does it give you a first impression?
See, it's easy to say that when you concede 200.
Yeah.
And when a team gets going, it's very hard to stop them as well in this format. So I really would not judge them at this point to say that the bowling attack is too weak. Agree that the batting is stronger than the bowling is, but I really don't think it's a weak bowling attack. And even today, Haley Matthews has really got off to a start,
Yeah.
and some of those shots have just gone in the gap. It's not been very bad balls or very flamboyant shots, but she's timed them and it's gone in the gap. And when you get three, four, five boundaries in the first couple of overs, then confidence is high and RCB's confidence is low, and all of that just comes together to put together a bad result. So I don't think it's a case of the bowling attack being too weak. It's two games that haven't gone to plan.
2 games.
Also, I don't think this is true for men's team anymore. Under Mike Hessen, if anything, RCB have tended to be a more rounded bowling attack than a batting lineup, and it's evident over the last three 4 seasons where RCB have consistently made the playoffs: 2020, 2021, and 2022. And I felt, going into the last year's IPL, on paper they had the most well-rounded bowling attack. With having Hazelwood, who could bowl with the new ball, Siraj, who could bowl at the death. It's another thing that he performed poorly, but at least on paper, RCB had covered most bases with their bowling attack.
Bro,
So
on paper, RCB have had the best batting lineup ever all fucking
no,
seasons.
I'm
It's
talking
like,
of the last 3 seasons. I'm not talking of the past. I'm talking
I
of the
know, but
last
like
three
on
seasons.
paper, that way we should have won so many IPLs. Like
No,
Gale, De Villiers, and Kohli, like it's a
so
joke.
there's a reason. So even though I'm not big on cricketing cliches, but the one cricketing cliche that I really feel has stood the test of time is that batsmen win you games, but bowlers win you tournaments. And I think
Correct.
that is relevant regardless of what format it is. So RCB realized that just having batting heavy teams is not helping them, and they switched to developing a bowling attack first, and then going for batters, and we saw the result of it last IPL as well. Despite only two batters clicking, they were able to still make the playoffs because their bowling was doing well.
Hmm. Agreed. I mean, fair points here. Let's of course drift to Mumbai Indians as well because it's been predominantly in RCB chat so far, and understandably so because we tend to nitpick. And it'll be interesting to see how Shriyanka Patil goes about it because she, of course, had that 23, which will do a confidence a world of good. Just want to talk about Mumbai Indians, guys. And Nick's mentioned it in last night's watch along about the purple cap holder right now. What have you made of her, Bish? Because she's a real find.
And before the tournament started,
Yeah,
Harman actually called her out as the player to watch out for.
correct.
Right? And I think in the two games that we've seen her play so far, it looks like an India call up may not be too far away. I know that two is a very small sample size to make that judgment.
Yeah.
But she seems to have a very good head on her shoulders and seems to have a good cricketing brain. And results do matter after all. 6 wickets in 2 games is no joke.
Yeah.
I mean, so on wickets that are helpful, I mean, easy to bat on, that have been flat tracks. So really, really well done to her. And I mean, calling it now, I think she'll make the Indian team fairly soon.
Okay. Next, just want to ask you your opinion again in terms of the longer term because India are spoiled for choice in having left arm spinners. Rajeshwari Gaikwad comes to mind, Radha Yadav, there's Deepti Sharma, of course. Generally, I mean, she's not, I mean, a left arm spinner, but what do you make of Mumbai's purple cap holder?
I think she's one of the very few who's, I don't know, maybe too early to compare, but in the Sophie Eccleston mold, uh, again, we'll have to see more of her in the terms of
Straight to the
now
worst
see,
#1 bowler.
uh, I think the thing is she has immaculate control and she's able to beat them in the air, which is something that you often see at times Radha Yadav do it, but and Rajeshwari relies a lot more on flight. So she probably has a right balance in between the two, and she's able to find the right spots more often. Now the challenge for her is going to be now teams are going to prepare for her separately, which may not have been the case at the start of the tourney. Which, however little they may have seen, now they have more information. So if from here on, if she's able to build on this, it's going to tell us a lot more about how quickly she's going to get that call up. Because again, we've seen this time and again in many tournaments that you start very well, but it's you staying up to that expectations that you set for yourself, and more so on decks that are good for batting. So so far so good. I mean, I had heard Herman calling her out. I wanted her to take 3 wickets, and she took 4 in the first game. So definitely someone to keep an eye on.
Indeed. Let's see how the tournament progresses because 8 games, right, for everyone. So 6 wickets already in 2 games for Ishaq. So, I mean, onwards and upwards for her, I guess. Right now, Mumbai making an absolute joke of this chase because 72 for 1 and they've milked it so far, 8 overs. Can RCB even fathom something out of this match or is it just, it's a piss take right now, Vish? Look at this. She's reverse sweeping her and I know she's obviously relatively inexperienced bowling to one of the world's finest. But what does
Avnish,
Mandana do right now? Look here, what does
Avnish,
Mandana do right now? Would you
Avnish,
like?
I have a question.
Oh
So
God.
given that okay, now the timeout's also there. Let's just assume that RCB are losing this game today, right?
Yeah.
Uh, with 6 games to go, at what point do we bring the calculators out?
Cheeky. Honestly, for the next game, we're going to be staging a comeback. So we're going to win 6 in the trot. And then I'll see you in the final, bro. RCB Delhi final. And then we'll have a great watch along for that one. Or actually, maybe it might be my team versus Nick's team. I actually fancy UP to topple DC. You never know. I don't think, you think Mumbai will make it? You think Mumbai is so strong right now, they already look like winners?
Mumbai definitely looks like the best team in this tournament so far.
Yeah.
I have to say that. So there's no way that at this point we can
Assume.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anybody who's saying that they won't make the final. So,
But what is the scariest thing of Mumbai
But
right now?
I think
Season's 100.
one thing that will work in UP's favor as the tournament progresses is that uh, because this tournament is being played will be played on the same venues. As the pitches become tired and become more and more used, I do feel that UP's spin attack will become even more lethal and stronger, and will help them choke a few opposition, especially when they're defending totals. So
Yeah.
I just think that as the tournament goes on, UP might just become a stronger team because I think there are 4 spinners in the 11. It's pretty much like how CSK used to choke teams with Suresh Raina bowling those 4 overs, and even I remember there was this game where Raina actually bowled the last over, and it was a Champions League T20 game, but he bowled the last over and ensured that the match was tied rather than Chennai losing that game. So I do feel something like that happening with UP as the games go on. Probably uh, post the next weekend. I don't know. Maybe around 17th, 18th. In the last week, UP might just become a team to beat because of their spin bowling attack.
They have some really good spinners. We saw them come to the fore yesterday. Eccleston and Deepti Sharma need no introduction. Let's take one from Pranavanand, who goes on to say, is Kanika RCB's women's Anuj Rawat, a young and leg side dominant player, scored 70 to 22 in the leg side today, and one boundary was towards third match. Got out turning middle off ball to leg side, too small sample. I think, yeah, it's good observation, Pranav, but I think it's still early days. What I saw of her when I was watching uh, earlier, I think I like her in terms of being that maybe like a Shabazz Ahmad sort of kind of Washington Sundar addition in the middle order, because I don't think she's going to bat higher than 4 or 5. You look at Smriti, Sophie, Disha, maybe Elise Perry has a 9.
If RCB have enough days like they had today, she'll get a lot of batting.
Yeah, I think that's inevitable. I think if they were like, what, 12 overs, 100 and some 2 for 5 or something like that, it's quite
But
ridiculous.
I have to say, though, today, despite RCB's batting being as poor as it was, I
Yeah.
was pleasantly surprised, and actually a lot of credit to them for being 82 for 5 or something like that at the end of 10
And
overs.
getting some 70.
Right? Yeah, so when
Oh, you can't bullshit.
we don't need to watch the match, just
Oh,
watch
this is
Avnish,
ridiculous.
everybody, and you'll know exactly what's happening in the match.
This just hurts, man. This honestly hurts.
I think there should be a beehive of where Matthews has got the ball in this WPL so far. I
Yeah.
can count at least 8 to 9 boundaries that have come off her, just the leg stump or the outside leg stump bar. I think that has been what has not been tested about Mumbai so far. Teams have bowled pies at Mumbai in Mumbai's top order. So hopefully that changes very soon. And this is something that I have my biggest pet peeve. There is a swing bowler and you have keeper standing up to stumps. I don't know how that is going to help the bowler, because you are predominantly saying, I don't have any other option to get you out. Just stay in the crease and please bowl hit to my fielder.
Exactly like how Bhuvi used to do it and then Dhoni used to
Yeah,
come up
yeah,
and
but then that's it. Again, it has to be a setup thing. You can have those kind of bowlers as well when you know they have other wicket takers. As of now, you need Renuka to strike. You don't need Renuka to bowl a tight over. They are running along with the game. Run it is 9.72. The required it is like 6. So
But next, I think the rationale there is Renuka's bowling at roughly 100 to 105. That's the pace she's bowling at. So there is a fear that the batter could use her feet at the bowler,
yeah,
right? So it's to curtail that. So I mean, I somewhat understand it, because you don't want to have a situation where someone like one of the biggest things about Mumbai's batting last 2 games has been how fearless their batting has been,
yeah.
yeah.
and they've been playing all the shots. So some of the bad balls we're talking about are somewhat forced, because even when it's bowled just outside off stump, you're getting reverse swept, you're getting late cut, right? So now bowlers are trying to find ways to come close to the stumps and stuff. So I don't entirely blame the bowlers for what's happening. I can understand the criticism, but I think it's partly being brought on by good batting.
Absolutely. Dragonov 33, good to see you. I mean, it's a new person, I'm guessing, but subscribe if you're new. And he has point, most useless player. I mean, I'm not saying that I agree with him, but do you think Sophie Devine is washed? I mean, she's a great in the game in terms of representing New Zealand and all of that. But do you think RCB have probably got her at the twilight of her career? She bowled the other day when she doesn't bowl internationally anymore. Talk to me.
So when she bowled the other day, I thought it was actually a fairly smart move to get her to bowl the other day, because there aren't that many bowlers in women's cricket who can bowl the ball short and get it right. Right. So if you want to execute that kind of strategy against the batting team, you need a very specific kind of bowler to do it. Sometimes it doesn't come off, but she was probably the only bowler in the RCB team who could have done that.
Yeah.
Right. So to criticize her for it because it didn't come off, I find that to be a bit harsh. And despite
But with the bat in hand, two innings, of course, glimpses 14 of 11, and then I think something about 16 today. I mean, expect more.
You do expect more, and especially when someone is as seasoned as she is, you expect her to, in RCB situation when they're really struggling after the first game. When a team scores 200 plus against you, it's not only about the fact that you lost, but it's the impact that it has on your confidence. And then you hope that in the next match, your seasoned players are able to bring that confidence back by playing in a mature manner. So I can criticize her for that a little bit because this the senior players could not do that for RCB today.
So,
But
given the fact that it's such a short tournament, guys, is it easy to stick with them or twist? Because, like you said, there is, of course, a great South African waiting on the wings to replace her. So, how long would you give her? 3 games, 4 games before you pull the plug?
it's not about the number of games, right? You definitely can't do it in one,
Yeah.
but it's not about the number of games. It's about how the player is looking in those games. Like Virat Kohli in these test matches, you look at his numbers, he scored 20 and 12 and 25, but if you've seen him bat, you know that he's been one of India's most competent players of spin in the series, and he's got that one good ball or played one bad shot and got out.
Yeah.
So you if you watched him, you definitely won't drop him,
Yeah.
right? So it's about whether you think that there is potential for that player to do well. And if you can see that here, it's not a matter of number of games. Even 5 failures, and I'll say play you in the sixth one. Whereas somebody who doesn't look the part after 2 games, drop them in the third game.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gail got away with it all the time because he was a match winner. So even if he had 6 failures, seventh one he'll come good. Gurkirat, sorry, you want to make a point?
You see, it's always easy to carry players when you're winning. I believe if RCB do lose another game, then that change might happen. But if they win that game, then they might stick to playing Sophie Divine. So it's always the case. If you are winning, it's far easier to carry players, and it's always far easier to carry batters than bowlers because especially in the limited overs format, because a bowler's impact is limited. Even your best bowler will be able to bowl a maximum of 4 overs, but if you have two batters in form, they can do the job of ensuring that in your 20 overs you are able to score enough runs, which will make the game competitive. So if RCB win, I think they'll stick to that 11, but if they don't, then they might bring in that change. Always easy to carry batters than bowlers, even when you are winning. And when you are winning, you really want to give chances to your players who you think have enough quality and can do the job when the time comes. A classic example that I want to quote over here is Chennai ensuring that they played someone like Shane Watson throughout the 2018 IPL. Another factor of why they could do that was because they finished in the top two. They were winning the games anyway, so they wanted to back that quality. When in the 2020 IPL they were struggling, they did make a few changes, right? So it will always happen. If you're winning, it's easier to back players.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great point.
It's a great point. And meanwhile, Haley Matthews has just nonchalantly gone to 50 of 26 balls. Big man of the match candidate, sorry, player of the match candidate in terms of her performances. Nick, similar question to you before we take another call from Suchant Singh. Avni, feel happy, bro. RCB still doing better than
No one's letting you forget the last night.
Yeah, honestly, like I don't know if you can see this, Chachant, but look, whatever is behind this, Bish can see it. So I'm not gonna say anything else. Look, Nick, just to ask you, if you were Mike Hesson, Ben Sawyer, RCB management, from the get-go, if I had to ask you to pick your 4 best foreigners for RCB, who would it be? Are they playing their 4 best right now?
No, obviously not. As I said, I don't think Sophie starts. Uh, Again, it's not a call based on anything but just recent form. So you have to have Perry, you have to have Megan Shoot because they occupy two crucial spots, and Dan Van Nicken and Heather Knight, they give you the option of having a good middle over option as well. See, my one of my problems with having a top heavy batting side is you are leaving the inexperienced guys to do something that they've not done, and you're telling the experienced pros to bat at, again, sorry to say it, at the most easiest position to do that.
Correct.
My point, I think I had this pet peeve with RCB also when they had the entire top four of international, and then you have three domestic players. But then the problem is, it is any which way is one of the most toughest faces to crack. So I
Yeah.
would rather want your experienced players to hold that position and use those players up top, your local Indian talent up top, make the game happen in such a way that you always have them distributed across the top seven. as opposed to having a top four that is scary, but it also tells you if you get the top four, the game is done. So I think it's just one of the ways that sides function. It has a lot of factors involved, but if it was me, I would rather have at least two Indian batters in the top four as opposed to having all top four overseas.
I agree
Even
with
they
you
can be the best all
completely.
rounders in the world.
And it's so easily to get kind of seduced, right? With the names, it's your first kind of team. You obviously, but oh my god, it's absolutely chaos right now. They're finishing it off within 15 overs. And again, like Gurkirat said, actually, he's not even taking the joke right now. Calculators should come out from the second game by the looks of the net run rate already. Pranav Anand being cheeky as ever. Ben Sawyer by the end of the WPL will become Ben Shire with the walls of the dressing room filled with sad shairis. That's the effect RCB have over others and their own people.
I
Laugh
want
out
to
loud.
actually come back on the point we were talking about.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I actually don't. I agree with Shada. Why? She bowled one over yesterday, went for 20. She seems like she's gonna it
just
gives
as you guys are
the
dissing
wheels are
her,
coming off.
guaranteed wicket. Just as you all diss
I
her,
hope
it's
so.
coming now, right?
I hope so. But yeah, sorry.
No,
Manish.
I was saying that my view on where your best players should play, I differ a bit from what Nixon you were saying. Actually, if it was a one-day game or a test game,
Catch that. Oh my god, bro. This is honestly it's a video game for Katie Matthews out there,
is
Vish.
really having a good time. Yeah, if it's a one-day match or a test, I can understand the need to distribute the batting order so that you can maximize your team's score. But in a T20 game, it's only 20 overs, and like Gurkirat was saying earlier, you only need a couple of batsmen to come good for your innings to have a good result, right? So if you only need a couple of batters for your team to have a good result, and the guys who can do that for you batting at 6 and 7 or 5 and 7, that doesn't make sense for me. There are only 20 overs and you need two people, they have to be up top.
Okay, there's
See, I
another
think
more.
that is
Oh,
Thank
fine.
Lord for that. But
I
Bish,
think
I
the
go
bit
back
is
to what
using
the
the
fact
players.
that it's not often a winning formula. I mean, I know what you're saying, but like, surely you got to think other
No,
ways.
so
I
here's
think the
here's what I feel. Uh,
Yeah.
while I do believe that in a T20 game you need, if two batters can do the job, you will end up having a par score more often than not, and sometimes even more. But what I think, the gist of what Nikhil was saying, and probably he missed that, is uh, if you distribute your best batters, say someone at the top and someone in the middle order, what you are also ensuring is that your relatively inexperienced batters who are not as good or probably don't have as much quality, you are trying to get the most out of them as well. And it's something that even, so one of the reasons why I've always argued, and I, a lot of people gave me flack for it, is uh, if you look at Delhi Capitals batting order last year, it was Mitchell Marsh at 3 with Rishabh Pant at 4, and then there was nobody. There was just Akshar Patel at 7 and Rovman Powell, who was unproven, and it took him some time to get going, and there was a huge hole at number 5. And I felt from the beginning that Delhi, just to ensure that their batting has covered up all the areas well enough, should have Sarfaraz at 3 with Pant at 4 and Mitchell Marsh at 5, because Mitchell Marsh is also a better player of fast bowling, and coming in at 5, where he'll be finishing the innings of sort, he will have more range of shots against pace than, say, what a Sarfaraz would do. Also, Sarfaraz coming in at number 3, especially after the power play, will have more shots against spin than what Mitchell Marsh would have. And it's not something that Delhi have not done before. They did that in the 2020 IPL when they had Shimron Hetmeyer at 6 and Marcus Stoinis at 5. If you look at Marcus Stoinis before that season, he was actually opening the batting for Melbourne Stars, and Shimron Hetmeyer was batting in the top 3. So sometimes I do feel if your players do have that skill set and wherein they can do well in the middle order, you should try and do that, because at the end of the day you also want to maximize your resources. It's the same argument
I
that I
agree
make,
with
that
you fully, but the problem is you have experts and certain commentators saying in a T20 you want your best batters to face the most balls. Now with that logic, RCB's probably lived off that logic for the last 10, 15 years. Now they of course they're trying Anuj Rawat on top and all of that stuff. But it's always been Gale, Kohli, De Villiers.
see, I do believe in that logic. Okay, so I mean,
no, but
I mean,
if you see
argue this,
if you
but
see South
I
Africa,
also believe that you don't need your 6 batsmen to come good. You only need 3 or 4 of them to come good, and you have to give them the best chance of succeeding up top. I take what Gurkeet is saying. I'm not saying that I completely disagree with it, but that rationale I think only works if the disparity in quality between the guys that you are replacing at 3 and 4 with the others is not too much, right? In this RCB team, the players batting at 4, 5, 6, and 7, the difference in quality between them and the top 4, I think, is stark.
Yeah.
So if you have the guys
Yeah.
batting at 5, 6, 7, and 3 and 4, you are compromising what your team can do in overs 5 to 14. You're compromising it in a big way, and I think in a short format game, that's not in the best interest of the team. If that disparity wasn't that large, I get it.
Yeah, but like at
Yeah,
the end of the day,
you basically can't replace
with a good attack like
you
SRA. How many times have they pulled RCB's pants down with Sandeep Sharma and Bhuvi removing Gale, removing Kohli, removing De Villiers, and then we're shitting ourselves 21 for 3, the match done. And that's
yeah.
where
So
my big is.
that's
There were times
it
when
can
you had to
sometimes
hit 5
it can
to play that
it
Dhoni
can
role.
sometimes be a double-edged sword if you don't have the required quality, like how Bishan mentioned. Like another example of this is when in that game where RR promoted Tewatia at number 4 versus Punjab, and Tewatia had almost lost them the game, had it not been for that over where he smashed those 5 6s. And that doesn't happen every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a
that's exactly
rarest
the
of
kind
the
of move that I'm against.
that it's the rarest of the rare occasion. So it can sometimes be a double-edged sword when you don't have the required quality. But this is where the think tank has to come in and play players according to their respective strengths and weaknesses. So
I'll just say
that
to
is,
sum up, I'll see what I feel is, Bisham, your point is right as well, and so does Gurkirat. I think your top 3 can be fixed, but your 4, 5, 6 can't be assured that they'll always be the best
yeah,
players. You have to go as per the
yeah,
situation. Just for
yeah,
it doesn't matter the disparity. You have to go as per the situation. If it is 100 for 2, the overseas batters walk in. But if it is 50 for 5, the game is done if it's 50 for 5.
Not much
But
left.
but it's
No, but
like
then sometimes, okay, the only batting lineup which I can think of in T20 cricket is CSK's, right? When they have
yeah.
great strength at the top, even in the middle, and even in the lower end.
But the thing is, they use the roles well. See, there is a reason why everybody talks about Badrinath the most, because that's how they wanted to use their sheet anchor. Oh, that is a horrible misfield.
That
Sorry.
sums up RCB's day, by the way. Shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
So
Continue.
the point was,
were a few goals let off like this yesterday? I didn't watch the game. I just
This is the gateway of India, bro. Gateway of India we just saw. Renuka is being substituted as a fielder right now. Not substituted, but moved away. Quite ridiculous.
So coming back to Chennai, I think it was the point that if you had a great start, you knew the batting order will not follow Badrinath or somebody else. It will take away the other Morkel.
Sometimes Morkel came at number 3.
And again, that was also smart. It was smart team construction, and that is another 6. Yeah, it is.
Guys, I think we have to wrap up the watch along right now before I start
Sorry.
crying, because honestly, like, bleeding blue is of course Mumbai's scene right now, but bleeding red, I mean, honestly, it's just like worthy of nothing. What's in this? We'll take a couple of comments before we come back with more chatter. Suchant saying making Smriti Mandhana captain when you have Elise Perry in your squad is a very bad decision from
I don't agree.
the management. I disagree with it, and so does the rest of the lads. Will tell you why. RCB is better than wrong horses. You already know Mandhana, Ghosh, and Renuka are not big match players. Suchant, where are you getting this from, mate? Come on, or are you gaslighting in the comments below? Shivam Sharma, RCB needs to bring in Nirkirk for night or shoot. Their spin bowling is pretty average. So the fans are speaking, boys. Bish, you want to come in on Suchant's gaslighting comments?
Oh no, I think it's very disrespectful to Mandana to say she's not
And
a
the
big match
WPL is
player.
an Indian product. You need an
Yeah.
Indian captain.
Yeah, that as well.
Yeah.
Right? If I had to pick one Indian big match player, I'm picking Smriti. He's my number 1 Indian big match player. So I think it's offensive to put her in that bracket. Two on Indian
Also,
captain,
one thing that I want to add over here.
a bit disappointed that 3 out of 5 teams went for a foreign captain.
Yeah.
But you have to also realize that the aim of each team is not to. One of the aims is to promote Indian cricket, but the biggest aim is to win.
Correct.
And you pick the player who gives you the best chance to win, right? Ultimately, that's what it is. I wish that there were 3 or 4 Indian captains as opposed to 2, but you can't grudge the teams for it. And ultimately, in this kind of situation, I think Smriti is someone who is actually a very competent captain. She's been the vice captain of the Indian team for a long time, captain plenty of time. So it's too critical
Oh
if
my
players
God, this is a
let
joke.
balls through their legs and bowl down the leg side. No captain can do
Man, this
anything.
is an absolute joke. And
Yeah, one thing.
okay, now just take this one from to Charles, because even this
Yeah,
move,
so
now in
so
hindsight, like why
we've
would you
seen
put on
enough.
board when you have
See,
other cricketers
I've
possibly get?
I've not seen the mentor role being used or the mentor being involved in the strategy or the tactical side of things. If the role of mentor is only to work on the mental side of things, then it could be any sports person. In fact, it could also be a sports psychologist. There's a reason why Paddy Upton was with the Indian team, right? So I don't see it as a negative that Sania Mirza is with the team, because uh, you know I really don't think that you need to be a cricketer to be a mentor, because you're not really working on the strategy side of things. How much does Sachin Tendulkar work on the strategy side of things with MI? Or for that matter, how much did Saurav Ganguly work on the strategy side of things with Delhi Capitals? I don't think they had a huge role to work on that front. So if it's just the mental aspect and letting players know about the pressures of playing professional sport, then it could be anyone. It could be Sania Mirza, it could even be someone like a Mary Com, because when you've performed at that level, you already know what are the pressures there. So uh, I don't agree with this. And the other thing about making Smriti the captain over Alice Perry, Mumbai Indians, before they made Rohit Sharma the captain, they had Ricky Ponting as the captain, and you know they were not having the result. So I think what people also need to understand is that captaincy is only uh, one of the factors towards result. Results are never the direct byproduct of captaincy. Sometimes if you don't have the resources as a captain, you can't do much. You could have made Ricky Ponting the captain of Bangladesh, but it's not that Bangladesh would have won the two World Cups that Ricky Ponting won with Australia. I think what we also need to understand, and I'm tired of repeating this, is that captaincy is not some magic wand. That okay, today, today if Smriti Manna is the captain, tomorrow if El Siperi is the captain, everything will start working all together. And it's something which MS Dhoni said as well when he replaced Jadeja as the captain in the last IPL season. He actually said that when it was asked to him that what changed, and he said nothing. We were just a little bit lucky. So if one of the greatest captains that the game of cricket has seen has said this, then I don't think that we need to start thinking of captaincy as some kind of a magic wand.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. You agree with
Just
him?
coming back in 2 minutes.
Okay, he's quickly gone. I
Game,
mean, RCB might
game will
very
be
well
done.
be in 2 minutes. He's gone. He's gone there. As tradition goes, first season goes to Dave Brigade. Following suit of our men's team will bounce back and play. I mean, it's not the last game. They have to just regroup right now, Bish, because I mean, errors in the field, your trusted bowlers going for lots of runs, your prime batters, it's almost crash bang and wallop.
Yeah, see, what happened in the last 5 overs, I would not even regard it.
Okay.
Right? It's a case of, I mean, you always say that it's not over till it's over, it's not over till the fat lady sings, whatnot. But at some point, players on the field know what's coming.
Yeah.
Right? And in a game like this, there really wasn't. For the last 5 overs, RCB knew the writing was on the wall. So I wouldn't be too critical about the bad fielding or some of the bad bowling, because the players have just taken their foot off the pedal. Now they're waiting for the final rights to be completed. You wish it wasn't like that, but that is what is happening right now, and you can understand it because their confidence must be at its lowest ebb right now. In the last game, they had a 160-run partnership against RCB, the openers. They're again now reaching 160 out for one. So it's really hardly any
Yeah, and
wickets
I
they've
think
taken.
the emotions have got the better of them. I think even right after the power play itself, they just wanted to get on the bus and go home because it felt like there was no fight. After they knew that Megan Schutt and Rayna Katagar couldn't exploit the new ball and get the ball talking to, of course, get them wickets, it was always going to be an upper task. Hardik Vora, the man who's, of course, writing the blog on cricket.com right now, just some tongue in cheek with me because he knows I'm an RCB fan, saying they deserve to get humiliated. This is what happens if you don't play Indrani Roy. You have a wicketkeeper batter from Jharkhand, and the man is, of course, from Jharkhand, no price for guessing. You didn't pick her in the 11th. Who knows, Hardik? They might actually get her in for the third game. They should. I mean, there's knee-jerk reactions made from game one to game two. So I'm guessing from game two to game three, they will, of course, look at things further. At least they don't have to play tomorrow. They have a couple of days off. RCB bowling looks weak. Yeah, thanks, Vikram, for stating the obvious. We would, of course, love that to be emboldened so far. Smithy continuously fails whenever and off spinner bowls, and it's too predictable nowadays. All opposite teams use it against her. I think Perry be the captain more intent shown. Just on Smriti's dismissals, because today Hayley Matthews getting the better of her. Is spin a susceptibility? Is it just something that she's complacent at times because she's so beautiful to watch when she's of course playing the Pacers?
I don't think that's fair because I mean yesterday and today,
Mhm.
Smriti seemed to actually be batting fairly well.
Yeah,
She scored I think 35 and
but it's
25 or
innocuous,
something like that.
innocuous dismissals, right?
Yeah, but for a player of her quality, you know that she's more than capable of playing those balls, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lapse in concentration. It's possibly a case of
Oh my god!
being overconfident of playing that ball. I don't think it's a case of there being a weakness, right? There's definitely it's more of a mental issue, I would say, than a technical issue. And she needs to tighten up, and especially in situations like this, what I was saying earlier, when your team is down in the dumps, you want your senior players not necessarily to score 70s and 80s, you want them to inspire confidence
Yeah.
in the team and play in a mature manner. And so you would hope that in the coming games, people like Sophie Devine and Smriti, Ellis Perry are able to bring that to the table.
Sachin Upadhyay goes on to say this team needs to settle. I guess other teams look good from match one. Our team makes a couple of tweaks. Maybe Divine should bat.
Oof.
And there you have it, guys. An absolute stroll in the park for Mumbai Indians, dismantling the Royal Challengers Bangalore women, and with some style by 9 wickets. They won their first game by, I don't even know, gazillion runs, and now they won their second game by 9 wickets. Mumbai Indians really looking the team to beat. Probably the inevitable champions. Smriti Mandana down and out, and really RCB have to go back to the drawing board. How often do we say that in IPL cricket, in watchalongs? And it's sad. You're on mute, my friend. You can rant after you unmute yourself.
RCB's net run rate is at -3 right
Ah,
now.
okay, bhai. It's time to end the watch along. Thanks for watching. Much appreciated. Okay, guys, sorry. Let me just do my job and ask you guys the player of the match, Hayley Matthews, because one of the comments was, of course, 40 lakhs steal and all of that. I personally think the steal of the tournament is still Tara Norris, Pfeiffer, and the US player and all of that. But Hayley Matthews, guys, she gonna light up the tournament further. Bish, Knicks.
Yeah, no, she's been fantastic. 2 matches back to back, and the reason she scored all those runs is because of how fearless she's been.
Yeah.
It's generally been the approach of the Mumbai Indians as a whole, I would say. But I mean, I think she will inevitably win man of the match here, but player of the match here. But player of the match really should be a Mumbai bowler and I'm thinking who got the wickets here.
Isha.
For Isha got 2. Who else got?
Hayley Matthews got 3.
Hayley Matthews got 3. Okay, so then there's no way that Hayley Matthews is not player of the match here. But yeah, my point was in a game like this, it cannot be the chasing team's batter who gets player of the match for their batting because it's the bowlers who kept the total down to a reasonable amount. So yeah, but in this case, Hayley Matthews picked the wickets as well. So well done.
Nick's a perfect day for Hayley Matthews to be captain in fantasy teams because I'm sure she would have just reigned supreme.
Yeah, but then you actually hate such games because
Yeah.
you need the other side to step up. If you need just one combination win, then it's not skill. It's just too much skill from one player and nothing from the other. So, but it's okay. You have such habitations more so with RCB, but it's okay. They'll get better, both RCB and Mumbai. I think Mumbai will want to get tested. They haven't had a game where, I mean, they had 2 games and both of them looked fairly comfortable. So let's see how they go ahead. Maybe UP may challenge them, or DC. I think Delhi could be a great side to see how they go versus them.
Looking at final words with you then. Tomorrow's Watchalong will be an interesting one. Delhi versus UP, the North Indian derby. They're dubbing it already in the WPL circles. Your team up against Nick's team. And both teams, of course, coming on the back of victories. Any interesting sort of subplots you'd like to see in that one?
I just hope that Delhi don't give the kind of bowling performance that Gujarat gave yesterday in the last 3 overs, because and I hope they come better prepared for it, because what as good as Grace Harris was yesterday in terms of not hitting a shot in anger, I do think that a lot of bowling by Gujarat in the last 3 overs was hit me bowling. It was short stuff in the slot. There was no balls. There was full tosses. So I do think that the bowling also wasn't up to the mark in those last 3 overs. I just hope that if Delhi get into that kind of position, they don't become complacent, and they come prepared for the four women quartet of UP, because I do believe it's going to play a part.
So chant going on to, of course, bask in the glory of tonight's win, saying Haley Matthews is key pull out of our women's team will bring all the success to get as many trophies as possible. Remember, 40 lakhs is what they got her for. Thanks so much for everyone joining us in the comments, and of course, Nix and Gurkirat for making their presence felt. Gurkirat feel better. Nix, of course, you must have made a lot of money tonight, so enjoy well, sleep well, and of course, not to forget Vishal Deshwant as well. Guys, check out the cricket.com app. It's needless for me to say because it is absolutely terrific. It's brand new. It has great new features. There's so many to look at it. Just download it right now. It's available on both platforms. And it's a brand new season, this, in terms of the WPL, but it's the same old storylines if you're an RCB fan. Good night and goodbye. We'll see you in the next one. You know what I mean?
They need to bat first again.
Yeah.
If they bowl first, next game is all over.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think